Okay, so today we're going to talk about springs and gymnastics and a few of the fundamentals that'll create a more efficient jump.
Okay, so the mechanical aspects are the powerful muscles in the takeoff, which is your speed and strength that needs to be developed in the takeoff muscles. The rigid body generated force will be used properly. This causes the body to not absorb the force, and non-support limbs to increase force, increases the spring force, action and reaction. So first we're going to talk about power in the muscles, and we're going to demonstrate a good jump versus a bad jump. So a bad jump is, could you show me a bad jump? Did you see what he did? He did nothing. Versus a good jump, which is so the first jump he was slow, he didn't bend his legs, his feet were more in the use of driving the forces up. The good jump was he bent his legs lower and then used the force from that to drive up. Now we're going to talk about the rigid body, a bad rigid body versus a good rigid body. So a bad rigid body is something where it's either an exaggerated C with the body versus a tight straight line and a loose core. So a bad rigid body. Okay, and a good rigid body is where you're straight up and down. You could physically probably draw a line from the hands to the toes, and the core is held nice and tight, so there's nothing but an up and down. So lastly, we're going to talk about your non-supporting limbs. A bad non-supporting limb is no use of them at all, and good supporting limbs is really swinging and driving them up on your jump. So bad. And now good.
Okay, so when we're talking about power, a drill that you can use to make sure that you're reaching the right depth before you jump and generating enough power is using an object to know that you have got to the right depth before you jump, right? So it's just going to be used as a cue in order for you to feel it on your butt before you take off. So, an example. No, just go with it. Yeah. Whereas, if you were to take that out, right, the person may be going too deep or not deep enough. So if you set up some sort of object to give them an idea of how deep to go to generate the most amount of power, be as efficient as they can.
We're going to work on the rigid body. So when you're jumping, you don't want to be a loose cooked spaghetti where you're just jumping all over. You want to be a non-cooked spaghetti, raw, that's nice and hard and flat. So we're going to do body rocks. So he's going to be as rigid as he could, and he's going to just rock back and forth as many times as he can, keeping the core nice and tight, which will help him be more rigid when he actually jumps.
Okay, so now we're going to take all the skills that we just learned in the gym and take them to the streets. Okay, so it's sort of like follow the leader in this game. You just choose an obstacle and you have to use your springing moves to get up on top of the obstacle. And then the next person's going to do the same thing you just did, but then add on something else at the end, and then you just keep on adding on until you have a whole line that you've created in the end. Okay, I'm gonna use my spring technique to get up these stairs, but in style, using all the same mechanics that we learned in the gym. Okay, so we're gonna start our game. It's gonna be follow the leader. So what we're doing is we're just choosing things that we see around us, and we're creating an obstacle course. So one person will go, they'll do the obstacle, and then the next person will go and add on to that obstacle. Megan jumped from one line to the next, landing on the lines, and then I'll do that, and I have to add on to that at the end. And then Megan will do that before we go back and add on.
Yeah. And add on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got on top. Oh. So once you get good at your spring, you can start to add rotation into it.